My name is John Nelson. My agency is JKL Works, but I'm really here on behalf because I work alongside these folks for Atlas Agency Launch Lab. And the logo's kind of obscured there. I'm not really sure what happened with that. But nonetheless, we will we'll troop on here and talk about how this works. So what we do, this is okay. Let me just take a second. I want to talk about secret clients and prospects and ways to find them, because I started thinking about this actually part of a conversation from a little bit earlier with somebody I was having. And there are some cool ways to do this. And there are some people that are out there that don't get prospected to. And that's because they take a little creativity. They're not in everybody's niche. They're not the ones you think about. But if you're willing to be in their niche and to think about, then you're going to find out some really, really good things there if you're willing to give it a shot. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Excuse any typos, because again, this was just happened, but I don't think there are any. But one never knows. I have very, very bad typing habits. So meanwhile, let's jump into why we're here. So who am I? Who am I to come on here and bother with this? Well, I am an agency owner. My company is called JKL Works. But I also have 25 years of total business experience. And that started way back when with business working for a maintenance and reliability consulting company and in the world of IT. But I also learned about business process mapping, which is a huge thing that I'm into for that. So that's important. Hang on just a second here, because we did all this in a hurry. So I'm just going to make sure we don't have any more surprises. There we go. All right. So, and then I have 20 years of small business ownership, managing partner experience. That's really what the title was. My main function there was business operations. And this was a company that was as small as 5. Yeah, but it was as large as 200. And the 200 was some interesting stories behind that as to what made it that in 3 different locations and actually a couple of countries. So lots of cool things went on there. Been in marketing, sales and marketing about 7 years, including part of those businesses. Also about 5 in digital marketing, especially as you all see here. And then, a couple of years of Go High Level, and just I've really found 5 years ago when I discovered digital marketing, I discovered all the things in business I was not doing well and how I could help my clients and my customers more than ever I thought I could before. So there's that. All right, so let's go right into it then, so we don't take too much time. Oh, before I do that, as I said, I'm here on behalf of Atlas Agency Launch Lab. It's an amazing training program for those who are looking to completely level up their agency game. And so we'll talk some more about it near the end, if you will allow me. But there is a science behind that, and these are things that we'll come across. These will probably be questions from our students as we go forward. I'm helping with that process. I'm the Go High Level person in that process. So everybody has a role to play, and for the betterment of these students, and so we don't take many in. All right, so let's talk about all these prospecting things. So the first one up there is nonprofit organizations, and I don't know what they're necessarily called elsewhere in the world. I know they do have names. In the United States, it's tax exempt status, and these are anything from churches to lots of churches, lots of local civic leagues, sports leagues and teams, government NGOs. I guess they're just generally called NGOs everywhere, because these are groups that, some of them have an ideology that they push forward, and some of them are just trying to make the world a better place in the area that they can. But they have something in common. They all need help. They all need expertise. They only have generally the expertise that they can rely on is the people who are, they're the ones who come in that are passionate about what they do. And, they just happen to have some website building experience, or they just happen to have some, some sales and marketing experience. And you say, how in the world would you do sales and marketing in a nonprofit organization? Well, you have to convince people to come to be a part of this, to donate, to come be active in it. I mean, that's a unique form of sales all itself. Guess what? These people need, they need the same services that we offer, commercial clients, that we offer all different niches that are out there. These folks need those things too. Now they look a little different, whenever you're out there doing this, they do look a little different, but if you're willing to be a little creative, if you're willing to be a little bit, if anything, it's just look at it as kind of a challenge, a good kind of challenge for you, to see how creative you can be to get these people customers, or to get these people donors, or to get these to accomplish the goals that they need to accomplish. Because it really is, it's about getting donors, about getting support for the causes that they have. And it's about, making sure that people get involved who have a like passion for this. So, I mean, and many of them have money. That's the other misconception, is that they don't have money. Many of them actually do. They've got quite a bit of money. They just don't know how to spend it. Or, I mean, they don't know how to spend it on this, I should say. They're great at spending it on on the passions and getting everything done, but sometimes operational stuff falls a little by the wayside. Again, because of the guidance and the expertise that they don't always have to go get it or to utilize it properly. But they do have money. So if somebody's willing to, put themselves out there and try to seek some of these people, I think you'd be very, very surprised at what you get. So that is far and away really number. I mean, I'm going to talk about some other ones, and they're all good. But to me, this is far and away the most untapped market there is. It is a little harder to develop, but if you can, you're gonna do some good things there, and you're gonna do not only some good, but I mean, if it's an organization that you can kind of sort of align with, that you can kind of sort of get behind, it just makes it all the better, because then you can put your passion into it, and you can solve a problem and use your skills. So, I mean, it's a win all the way around for people. And you really are helping to make a difference. And that's something they can, that you can really count on, or put a feather in your cap about, so to speak. Now, one final thing here, and you do have to be careful with this on the nonprofits, but it is an opportunity nonetheless, is that sometimes they are willing to, in the vein of trying the unconventional, they will let you try some more things than you would otherwise normally do. So, I mean, as long as it doesn't sabotage them or get them in a lot of trouble, say you have something works, but you can't necessarily get anybody just yet to try it out. Try it and see if they're willing to let you try it here. There was a ministry that I did some work for, and I mean, the lady who ran it is a personal friend. And what I tried to do there is, I mean, it gave me a real opportunity to learn some things I didn't necessarily know in order to solve her projects and issues that the ministry had going. It was a great opportunity to do stuff like that. And I mean, it wasn't anything controversial. It was just, I was learning how to, say, do things with Wix and set up a donor strategy. So everything, gets done, say, for example. It's not always just weird and wacky stuff that you're trying because, nobody else will let you. Sometimes it's very, very practical problems that need practical solutions. So that's a lot about nonprofits, but that's all to say, I mean, it's a wonderful place. It's a wonderful group to try to seek out, and they are everywhere around you, in NGOs, nonprofit organizations, things that you align, causes that you could align with in some form or fashion. Totally worth your time. All right. Let's talk about Ninja Facebook group prospecting. Okay. So this is a little different approach than you see in most Facebook groups. And some of you are in some other groups with Sheena and myself. And so you might have heard this. So please hear me out. I won't spend a lot of time on it as much as we did on some of the other lives, but it is important because it can be its own prospecting strategy. And all of a sudden you could end up with prospects and client and hopefully clients. You have a real good chance of ending up in clients because you took some time to do this the right way. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is post a picture of yourself with a short introduction about yourself, but really having little to do with what you do for a living. Don't put a lot in there about digital marketing. Don't put a lot in there about agency ownership. Don't put a lot in there about the type of people you can help, unless it's some sort of cause that's near and dear to your heart. Put that in there by all means. Talk about where you live or where you're from. Talk about some characteristics about you that not everybody would know. Ask a question. Ask for, if you like books, say, hey, what's a good book out there? Somebody can. Some of that I notice is happening in this group now. There's people doing that, and they're asking about. There was a guy asking about what's everybody's favorite book. There's a bunch of questions that are floating around that are people just asking questions, getting to know, trying to start activity. We'll do that in your profile, but do something that's unique to you. One of mine is I like craft beer, so a non-IPA craft beer. I get some of you really like IPAs, but I'm not one of them. To me, they're always bitter and they're always whatever, and that'll upset people, and I don't care. That's fine. But there's a whole bunch of other ones that I like, and I've been on a couple of drinking evenings with people that are beer connoisseurs, and I tried beers I never would have tried. I mean, all different types, including IPAs. I discovered a lot of them, and now with local brew being what it is these days, again, this is kind of like the second or third wave of it. At least here in the U.S., I'm in Southeast Texas, near Houston, Texas. There's people everywhere that are doing this, so it's kind of fun that way. So put that stuff in there. Put that in your bio. That's in your welcome post. The first thing that you put out there. Second thing is then start looking for people asking questions who need help, who need answers. And your response in the comments should not be, I can help you with that. It should be the specific help, or at least the intros of it. If it's long and involved, just get them started with one or two steps, and then you get the right to say, oh, and if you need more help about that, or you want to continue the journey, then send me a private message. So you have that going on. Third thing is to ask for help yourself. And to put it out there that you need help, or to contribute just a random help article of something that's interesting to you, that solves a problem for you, that's digital marketing, whatever the theme of the group is related. So you're putting that out there. If you're going to a group of chiropractors in a Facebook group and you're scouting them out, put something in there about chiropractic and maybe relate it back a little bit to digital marketing if you find but make it a tutorial on how to do something. Don't just make it that and then go straight to the plug. You still have not, if you follow this 3-step, 4-step method, you've not sold anybody on anything that you do, other than to get your name out there, to get your face out there, to become relatable. And people remember who you are, and they remember you as somebody who contributes, as somebody who helps, who's somebody who is given of their advice freely. The fourth thing is try to earn, and you just do this by a lot of helping and contributing, is try to earn badges in various groups like top contributor or expert or some of those. But you do that by putting your stuff out there, by putting your free advice out there. You don't have to, unload everything, but if there are some things that you're really passionate about, put some of the how-tos out there about it. So great ways to do, that. If it's a 4-step process, and I know I kind of flew through it, but if you do that in every Facebook group you're a part of, not only will you not be, banned or kicked out, particularly in the ones that are some niche where you actually are trying to prospect. If you go in there as a digital marketer, their walls go up, everything goes up, and you will get shut down and shut out. But if you go there as somebody who, maybe, if you have a good experience, say with that particular niche as a customer, and you go in there to learn, and you listen for a while. It's the thing about salespeople will tell you whenever you go into a town that you're new in, go find the restaurant that has all the cars and go there and order a cup of coffee and sit for a little, or a Coke or whatever makes you happy. Go there and have a sit and just listen to people, and talk to people. And you will find out things that you never knew about that town, and you will get let into places that you never would have been let in otherwise, because you went and did that and you took the time to get to know them. So that is Stealthy Ninja Facebook group prospecting, and it's very atypical of what I see out there. But those who are willing to do it, I mean, it's a relatively new strategy learning for me too. So I'm going through and actually updating the way that I approach all the Facebook groups that I'm in, and you'll start to see more of that out of me, and I hope more of that out of you, so that we all do get to know each other and we find ways to help each other. All right. So with me so far, now let's talk about LinkedIn. Similar idea, but not even as that forthcoming. So LinkedIn, as many of you know, great resource for business to business connections. Okay. Hands down. But who among us is feeling just a tad bit over prospected on LinkedIn these days? I don't know about you, but my inbox is full, absolutely full of prospecting attempts of people trying to reach out to me. Some of them do get through. Okay. I don't shut everything down. There's some nice little relationships that I've made there. And one of those ways I'll talk about in just a minute. But there is a whole lot of prospecting. And you say, John, well, how do you get the word out about yourself? Well, LinkedIn, you have connections, correct? So connections are the name of the game. So when you are reaching out to somebody and you are making a connection with them, some of the same principles back from your Facebook group prospecting apply. Okay. So focus on the connection, not what you're going to sell that connection. So make that connection, talk to that person, interact with that person, find something in common, connect with people that you have maybe something in common with based on where they live or what they post or what's going on. Look, there is my deep background is in radio. And I went in 20 years ago now to something that is now in radio broadcasting, very, very commonplace. And that is now everybody can be broadcasting from anywhere, from inside their house, from inside, across the country, around the world, be in a completely different place than who they're talking to. There's one that's on Sirius XM that her house is in Italy. And she's in the United States, every time on one of the channels. So, if you know her, you know what that's about. But that's, she's a name you would know. So I'm not gonna, bust that in case I'm wrong. But I do know of that she has a house in Italy, and that's where she spends most of her time, and that's where she broadcasts from. So whenever I went to visit a friend of mine that was doing this 25 years ago, and walked into her studio, and there were two computer screens. One had the software on it that made the radio possible. The other had a local, at the time, online newspaper or some place where all the community happenings were for the place that she was broadcasting to. And so she was on multiple stations across the country at different times of day. But they ranged from New Mexico here in the United States to Southeast Texas to Mississippi all over the place. I think Illinois and Indiana, maybe some upstate New York. So she was on several different ones. And the way that she would do that is she would look at what's going on in that town, and she would, make comments about it and talk about it and make it relevant. And so it's got so good that it fooled the radio station consultant in Mississippi, who knew better, was driving down the road, decided, hey, I'm gonna go see this lady. She's on today, as I'm just passing through. Pulled into the parking lot, and then it dawned on him she was not there. She was in Austin, Texas, and was not going to visit. So all that is to say, find connect relevance in common with the people that you connect with on LinkedIn. Make sure that you are, talking to them about something relevant to them, something you noticed, something about their area, something that's, pick 3 or 4 hot topics, and that are not controversial ones, just of interest, and ask questions, of these folks. So that's what you do to start when you start making those connections. And this sequence goes, I mean, I've seen several people do this who know more about LinkedIn prospecting than I do. And I absolutely respect them for it. I mean, that sequence goes about 5 or 6 conversations deep before they do, and probably even longer before they do anything regarding prospecting or pitching. If the person, is savvy enough, they probably know something's coming. But if you do it right, then, and you spend all your effort on doing that right, then they won't know it's coming. And then it will happen organically, because eventually, after lots of conversation back and forth, you will learn and know, good salespeople know when the time is right to make that little pitch or to solve that little problem. And don't slam them with it, or super direct, but say, hey, you keep telling me about you're having these problems. If I knew of a way to, help to make that go away for you, and to start making you some more money to keep your business doors open, would you be open to thinking about that? This is all on text, of course, or you can now do, I think, some video and some other things. And that's when those times are right. That's when that really kicks in. So I mean, it takes a lot longer than you want. It's more involved than you want. It's not something you can do in mass. Anybody who tells you they reach out to 100 or 500 or so many LinkedIn people a week is fooling themselves, because they're not playing into the idea of the connection. You should be 10 to 25 at the most, because that's the only amount of conversations that you or your VA can keep track of. Okay. And realistically, and do them right. So if you're reaching out and you are continuing those conversations, it'll last for a few weeks, but when that time is right, that's when you're paying attention to step in and say, yes, that is something I can help you with. So LinkedIn prospecting is a slow roll, but it's, again, worth doing. So we've got nonprofits. Some of them are on LinkedIn too. Most of them are. We have Facebook, Ninja Skills for groups, and we have LinkedIn in general. LinkedIn does have groups, don't quite have the reach that Facebook does, but that may be changing. Who knows? And there's some LinkedIn lives and some different things that you can do that really do get attention. But for the most part, it is all about the connection. It is all about making that connection happen. So now we're on to the final one here, and that is the concept of verticals. Okay. So in business, many of you may be familiar. You have the idea of a business of a vertical. So what is a vertical? That is typically an industry. Okay. So there is the marketing vertical, so there's a chain of process that happens there. So and everybody is somewhere along that chain. So let's take our friends, the chiropractors, for a minute. Okay. The wellness is a big thing, and you could probably apply most of this to all aspects of wellness for the most part. The gyms and the yoga studios might be a little different, but you can apply this all along the way. So let's take a chiropractor, for example, as to how to best explain this. So you have them as the actual business owner, and you have their clients that they bring in that's below them, their patients, right? So you have that going on, and that's an interaction all in of itself, and that's what a lot of us are seeking. Now, let's add in the concept of their suppliers. Who are their suppliers? Who supplies them with all the tools and things that they need? Certainly you are one of them, or hoping to be one of them, but you don't directly do chiropractic supplies, last I checked, unless some of you are just really that good. So all the equipment, all the supplements, all the different things that go into that. I mean, it's not a huge number of them, but some of the successful chiropractors I've come across have whole nutritional things that they run alongside with. And so who's supplying those? And so you look at the people that come before and after the sale that you have. Okay, if there is an after for the sale. So certainly before there is, because you're talking about who supplies their stuff. Okay. Who owns the building that they're in? Do they, or does somebody else? Is it a larger building? And if so, does that person own anything else? You see where it's kind of beginning to form a little bit of a column here. So you look at the suppliers, you look at the the building owner, you look at maybe a little bit of the community, or are they in any groups that are chiropractor related? And do those groups of chiropractors, could you somehow get connected to them? Okay. So let's now go the other way in the supply chain. And this is a little harder going down because we think it usually ends with the customer. Yeah, I guess it does. But sometimes there are, is there anybody that the customer comes in contact with as a result of, going to the chiropractor, where they saw these amazing things, and how this chiropractor really reaches out to their people, reaches out to their customers, and really seems to understand them, not only in doing the adjustments, but in the different courses and the different things that they offer alongside that, or the different supplements that they offer. And so then you have that person who is the patient, doing testimonials, or, maybe asking, hey, I really enjoyed it. So they're taking this to another level, and they're bringing in their friends in a referral, or they're bringing in their family in a referral, or they're doing some other things. So that you end up with this vertical of who is everybody that's in the chain, who delivers stuff to them. Where do those deliveries come? Do they need, it's probably the big major delivery people or something, but sometimes there are, I know in the case of chiropractors, there are like holistic food companies and things that deliver to them. Well, maybe they need somebody too. So you're going all up and down that vertical, and the vertical works if you've got a good relationship with your client, that you really dove in deep to understand who they are. Okay. This does not work because they won't let you in, and they may not give you this information if you just, show up, do a thing, barely contact them, and go away. And I know none of you do that. So we're going to assume that you don't, and that you really take the time in some form or fashion to build a good relationship and a good, deep rapport for your clients. So then that's the way you get led into the vertical, by really having that good relationship, and then going back and forth with them and saying, talking to them about their suppliers, talking to them about other people. Who knows, they may walk you over to the holistic food guy that's supplying them, and saying, you know what, I've had really good experience. This guy has really, this or girl, I don't want to sell you ladies short at all. This agency has really brought in a lot of customers for me. They paid for themselves, within days, every time. And, I want to make sure that you guys stay in business. So maybe give them a look, so that's the power of verticals. That's the power of making those connections higher and lower. And it's not all about selling all the time. Once you sell them, I learned long ago, kind of painfully, once you hear yes, stop selling. So then you become value providers, right? So you then always find ways to give them value, even when it's not expected, and do everything to provide the value to your clients, and to be there, and to be responsive. So then what ends up happening is they'll want to walk you. They'll almost beg you to hey, can you really come help out this guy? I'm trying to, they're really struggling over here, and I want to make sure they stay in business because they have fantastic products. And, it's, can you give them a call or have a look at them? and that's a warm lead waiting to happen right there. That is the power of verticals, and it's not always appreciated, and it takes a little deeper thought to make that happen and to figure out where these people are and what they can do. So I hope you will give that some thought as to the niche that you're in, and then who is in the chain up and down that niche that you can somehow affect. And then how do you do that? How do you reach them? It obviously it's going to go through your clients. I'm just here to tell you. But if you do go through your clients and you take a little time to work that, you will be amazed at what happens and what kind of sales that you get out of it. So there you are. 4 real good, underappreciated, take a little bit more effort to do lead sources, prospecting sources. Places that you can look that if you're willing to do it right, you're going to have a wonderful experience with them. And they make for a better client, honestly. You treat them well, and you do all you really go through these things, and you really be a little vulnerable, even as a big agency. You have people that are your customer service success managers are in contact with these people all the time. They're the ones who know. They're the ones who get to be a little bit vulnerable because they're the point of contact. But if they're willing to do that, you're going to get huge dividends out of this. They will be walking you from client to client, or friend to friend of theirs, and you making them client to client by not having to sell that hard, not having to work it that hard, because they're already working for you. And you'll be amazed what a difference that makes, because you took a lot longer time. You worked with maybe some different causes. You did the soft sell on Facebook and LinkedIn, and you really bided your time, and you found major success out of it. So I apologize. I don't have the capability, because this is not my stream, to see the comments, if there are any comments or questions on this. So what we can do is if you have any comments or questions of this, put them in the comments afterwards, and I will go through and I will answer them, and I'll do my best to react to them as best I can. So just before I go here, a bit about Atlas Agency Launch Lab. It is the reason, I'm not the founder of this. Sheena Lee Kennerly and Zach Kennerly are, who you've heard Zach, you haven't seen him. But he's around, and you have already heard from Sheena Lee, and you will hear more from her once she gets a little better. So, but they have brought in several of us because we have taken a look at what they're doing, what they've come up with, and we've lent our own expertises and some very unique expertises of that to make this. This is a training program and I know there's a lot of those out there, but this is for either freelancers or agencies themselves, or different aspects of agency owners, managers, that sort of thing, who really want to up their game, who really have decided, you know what, I want best practices. I want all this. I don't just want to know how to do marketing services. I want complete best practices from beginning to end. That's what Atlas Agency Launch Lab is all about. And so we really do set every aspect of your agency up, and we're training our students along the way. We only can take about 10 students a month for that reason. And so we set up everything for them, and it centers around Go High Level software. But we also talk about things like brain spotting. If you don't know what that is, it's a very, very cool thing. You will probably get to know here in the future, because one of the people who is darn near an expert in it she's going to be on and educate you about it. And you will be amazed at how well it helps you get to know prospects, and then make them become solid clients, and then deal with all kinds of situations as they come up, because you're reading situations and you're reacting to them in a way that is much more productive. There's folks that are deep into AI. That's a big deal. That's coming too. So all these line up. And so we were talking about prospecting. So where is that? So we talk about niches right in the beginning, and picking your niche and really narrowing that down, because general prospecting is darn near impossible, because you have to tailor your messages for everything, unless you're just that big a company that you can tailor messages right away. But otherwise, picking a niche, finding people to relate to, really building those relationships makes a difference. So then we talk about the places to prospect, and this will be among them. And then we talk about putting all that together. So if you have more interest in Atlas Agency Launch Lab, leave that in the comments as well, and we will and we'll make sure that that gets to the right person. So thank you guys so much for the time. Thank you for letting me work through everything and just kind of sub in here for Sheena Lee, and really, truth be known, I'm going to be a part of this as well. So you'll see both of us in the coming weeks as we work through everything, along with some other special guest stars. And we want to tell you about all kinds of different things that we've come across that we really hope help you. I hope these are some great places you can go look, and you can go start implementing them right now as to where to find some of these people in your life. So appreciate you watching. Appreciate your time, and look forward to seeing you in this group and in others and on the next live. Thanks for watching.